The items you will receive in your Blue Thumb autofill kit include the 1/2-inch autofill valve, thread tape, a hose adapter, 2 1/2-inch threaded barb fittings, 2 1/2-inch nipples, a 1/2-inch threaded elbow, and 2 hose clamps. The first thing you're going to do with the autofill kit is open up your thread tape and apply it to one of the 1/2-inch nipples in the same direction as the threads. You will then come over to the autofill box or pump canyon, noting the 1/2-inch spin weld on the outside and inside. On the inside of the basin, you're going to thread this about halfway down so that you will still have half the thread showing on the inside of the skimmer box or pump canyon. The next piece you're going to take is your 1/2-inch elbow. This is 1/2-inch male thread, 1/2-inch female thread. You will apply thread tape to the male threaded end of the elbow. You will then take the female thread and thread it into the nipple that you just placed on the inside of the basin. You want the elbow to be in the downward direction with the 1/2-inch male thread facing down. Then take your autofill valve. Place it on the bottom threaded portion of the elbow and tighten. Once that is tightened, you'll see that it's free from hitting the side, and it will be free of the net and the filter mat that will be in here. If you are hooking this to a garden hose, you will apply thread tape to your second 1/2-inch nipple and thread it into the spin weld on the outside of the basin, again about halfway. You will then take the 1/2-inch hose coupler and thread it to the nipple you just placed on the outside of the basin. Then, making your connection with the garden hose to the outside 3/4-inch thread. You may also consider applying thread tape to the end of your garden hose before making the connection if you would like. If you are tying this into an irrigation line, you will take one of the 1/2-inch barbed threaded fittings and follow the same steps, placing thread tape on the threaded portion of the fitting, then threading this into the outside spin weld, about halfway down. You will then bring your PEX line over from your irrigation system, clamping that down with one of the hose clamps provided. So your hose will connect here, clamp it down, then you can start up your system. That completes the steps necessary for installing the autofill valve. Now we'll go over the steps necessary for installing the 30 psi regulator. When installing the 30 psi regulator, we're going to jump back to our autofill kit. So we've installed our autofill valve, and we've prepped the outside for an irrigation line. The 30 psi regulator will be installed leading up to your pump canyon or skimmer box. It is important to note the arrow on the side of the regulator. You will want the arrow pointing in the direction the water will be flowing, moving from gray to white on the regulator and pointing towards the basin. Installing this is going to depend on what size irrigation or PEX line you're working with. If you are using a 1/2-inch line, you will grab the 3/4-inch barbed fitting, cover the threads with thread tape, and thread it into the intake point or gray side of the regulator. Once installed, you will take one of the hose clamps and place it on the fitting prior to connecting the PEX line, and then tighten. Next, you will apply thread tape to the second 3/4-inch barbed fitting and thread it into the exit point or white side of the regulator. You will then follow the same steps, installing your irrigation line and tightening that down with the second hose clamp. We do provide additional fittings if you are hard plumbing this from a line directly from the house. If you are bringing a 1/2-inch rigid PVC line over to the 30 psi regulator, you will apply thread tape to the male end of the 3/4-inch bushing and thread it into the intake side of the regulator. If needed, you can apply thread tape to one of the 1/2-inch nipples and thread it into the female side of the bushing. It is important to once again note that water needs to flow through the regulator from gray to white, ensuring the arrow on the side of the regulator is pointing towards the skimmer box or pump canyon. That completes the steps necessary for installing the autofill valve and 30 psi regulator. Please visit us online or give us a call if you have any questions.